Well. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this webinar about Live IT Sourcing Lab, where we will dig deeper into your vacancies, actually, which you sent me. And I will try to show you maybe how I would progress in a different sourcing scenarios. Just for the beginning, I'm a little bit glimpsing here to the left from my side because I see your comments here whenever you watch it. If you are on YouTube, on LinkedIn, on Facebook, I can see the comments here. So feel free to actually comment anything. You can actually send me a message if you can hear me well, see me well, and we can start right away. Hello, Isabella. Hello, Darius. Tina as well. Tarek, hello. So okay, so let's move on. I have because you actually not all people actually sent me their vacancies, but actually still I got hundreds of vacancies you sent me. So I needed to kind of like take it, summarize it, put it into different categories a little bit. So there was some work involved prior to this, and yeah, that's why of course that's the work I needed to do actually. If you don't know me, I'm actually a former software engineer. I started as a former software engineer back then, and somehow I skipped, let's say in 2006-7, I skipped into talent sourcing. From this perspective, that was the time when, let's say in our region, Central Eastern Europe, all the things like LinkedIn in general, direct approach, everything like that actually started then. And because of, as you know, I was doing, for example, software engineering, and I was doing IT security before that. And I liked these subjects because you can use your creativity, fantasy, you can create anything. And with talent sourcing, it's a little bit the same. It's really similar because there are no strict guidelines which you need to follow, like maybe in law or different subjects like that. So even like technically tools you can use in IT security, you might be using here for maybe uncovering emails, for example, etc. Of course, in this session today, we will focus mainly on searching because, of course, we have like 60 minutes, something like that. So that's what we need to do. My background now, I'm a co-founder actually of a company, GoodCall. We have something like 150 employees, and they basically do sourcing all day long for different roles, not only IT, but of course, IT is there as well. Part of our business is data create ATS, because we know that technology and having in-house development, in-house software development is crucial actually in recruitment as well. That's why we created this company, Data Create ATS, delivering ATS to different kind of companies, from like smaller startups up to companies like Deloitte, for example. And Recruitment Academy, where we try to put the know-how across the general public. If you want to know something like news, maybe because I published the book People as Merchandise back then, 2013. If you want to follow some of my new content, a part of these webinars and such, you can actually follow my new LinkedIn newsletter on LinkedIn, where I try to more like grasp and really like scrutinize the new technologies. The next episodes will be about some AI as well, but really practical things which you can actually use on daily basis. So for example, the creepiest talent sourcing tool, how you can uncover people basically on the street based on the image recognition, and you can actually do it practically. This is described right there. So if you want to follow it, you can follow it. If you want something more formal, like formal sourcing education and recruitment education, with Recruitment Academy, we aim to be the global certification authority. We have partners in different countries, and we are delivering content which is 2 up to 4 days. So next actually round will be in November and December. Okay, so let's skip to it right now. Hello, Soma. Actually, hello, Marina. Usually I start the session with something which is not so common. Of course, you send me loads of Python developers, Java developers, .NET, C# developers, etc., etc. But usually I try to start with something which is not so common. Of course, we will get to those Pythons and Java developers as well. PEGA or PEGA architect, actually sent by Madalina Alina Vlad from Deutsche Telekom in Bucharest and Timișoara in Romania. Actually, quite a lot of Romanians actually send me their vacancies. I don't know, maybe I'm famous in Romania. Mulțumesc frumos. Which is thank you very much in Romania. I was there like 10 times maybe for business, so maybe it makes sense. PGA architect. Imagine sometimes for you, maybe you are not so skilled because of course you are a recruiter, maybe you are a sourcer, maybe you are new to your role and you don't have the background of the IT terminology and let's say of the IT subject in your head. That's natural. So you look at this and you see a lot of things, but usually many of those job descriptions can be simplified into few things. Yeah, there might be more difficult things like with DevOps, for example. We will look at DevOps, I think, at the very end. But usually most of the job descriptions can be simplified. But of course, some IT terminology behind that is necessary. So as we can see, the ideal candidate should have a university degree in the field of information technology. Okay, maybe it's a question how mandatory this is or not. But we will not be, it will not be definitely the primary thing we will be using for searching. Experience of 4+ years in software design and technical PEGA architecture. Now, of course, this is probably important. So probably the keyword and the main keyword will be PEGA, even if there are some other things like, for example, PEGA rules, process commander. Now you must be like alerted because PEGA is a single word. PEGA rules, it's still one word. But as you know, on LinkedIn, you are not able to search for keywords for the fraction of the keywords. So now we have definitely at least two keywords, PEGA on its own and PEGA rules altogether. But for LinkedIn, when we talk about LinkedIn, are two different keywords. Strong objective-oriented design and implementation skills. Okay, yeah, this will not be the things we will use for searching. Familiarity with various process modeling techniques, blah, blah, blah. Not interested like for the requirements. And if I look, I will not be reading all the things. PEGA certification, okay, maybe that's interesting just to know, there is some PEGA certification. Of course, it's probably called PEGA certified something, so there is still the word, so PEGA. So if someone has this on the profile, yeah, maybe, of course, we will find them. But most of these certifications got also abbreviations. Yeah, so that's what we should be looking for, actually, in this case. Integration and implementation with SOAP, JMS, file listener, etc., etc. Not interested. If you know, for example, what SOAP it is, it's basically a protocol for two applications to be able to communicate to each other. Python developer can use it, Java developer can use it, obviously PEGA architect can use it as well. Familiarity with J2EE, like with the Java framework, XML, Java, JSP, etc., etc. In the first phase, maybe that might be like the secondary requirement, not XML. XML is really like if I tell you that you would put, for example, in the job description that you can type on a computer. Yeah, XML. All the programmers know XML. Definitely all the architects know XML. Yeah, so we will not be using that as a requirement. But J2EE is something more advanced, and definitely not every Java, not every architect of any sort would know J2EE. So we might be taking this, like we might be like highlighting this maybe as a secondary option. When to use a secondary option? It also depends how many people we will get, yeah, and we will see right away. Good knowledge of English, okay, so English, experience working in Agile, okay, but we will not use it, etc. Nothing else which would be interested. Thank you, Goran. Thank you, Goran. Hvala. All right, so when we skip into Let's skip into LinkedIn. Of course, we will be talking about sourcing of LinkedIn, but of course, LinkedIn is still important. Still, for example, at GoodCall, it's the source of candidates in 75% of cases, let's say. So the problem with the non-paid version of LinkedIn now is we can put their PEGA, which will probably not be a problem, but there is actually now, and you maybe experienced that problem, if you put something into keywords in the non-paid LinkedIn, sometimes you get people who actually not have that word on their profiles. And that's a problem. That's a bummer. That's why, of course, if I have the option to use, for example, LinkedIn Recruiter, or maybe you don't have a LinkedIn Recruiter or LinkedIn Recruiter Lite, you might have just a simple sales navigator. It might be a better option because you will be taking some numbers into account, and those numbers will not be true. And then once you are going through the individual profiles, you will find out, this person don't have the PGA on his or her profile. Like, why the profile is in my search results? Yeah, because it's buggy. All right, but let's try it as for the first search. I'm going ultimately for the PGA because that's the main keyword. Without anything, architects, etc. Yeah, we can always be more generic and always be more specific at the same time. So we will see based on the number, even based on the number of search results. I will put Romania, of course. Romania, huge country. Bucharest, Timișoara, Cluj-Napoca, etc., etc., etc. So we can then break it down. But again, if you are skilled with searching on LinkedIn, you know that location, really boring filter. I get it. But for example, in experience with our sourcers, this is a filter where they lose quite a lot of people in the process. Because once you put there a city, or for example, in case of Romania, like you put there part of the city, like Cluj-Napoca, maybe Cluj-Napoca is a city, I guess, but Cluj-Napoca or Cluj region, I mean. The problem is that people, let's hit the search now. There are people on LinkedIn who actually didn't specify any city. They specify Romania, so you know that they are in Romania, so they should be in this search. But for example, here, Luisa, Romania, for Endeavor, yeah, but she's definitely based somewhere. And once we open her profile, we can, for example, see from her employer that it's probably Bucharest, yeah. So the problem is that the filter location is searching the main location, which is right here, and she got there just Romania. So even if I will be looking for Bucharest, if I put here Bucharest, Luisa will be totally invisible for me. So in the first phase, I will definitely try to put their country. Every time when I want, I can go and be more specific under the circumstances that I know that I am ultimately losing some people in the process. So now I have Romania, but still, now we can see Romania for PGA, 174 results. Not a lot. Yeah, if I put there just a comparison. Yeah, maybe you are from the US and you don't have like the imagination about like how Romania is huge. If I put there Python, there are 31,000 people. Yeah, so it's definitely scarce. Yeah, scarce of this people of this sort. There is definitely there. Of course. Now we should be thinking, okay, PGA, what the abbreviation means. For example, maybe some people, if it means something, maybe some people are there with the full name of this. Definitely we can, just for comparison, we can put the PGA into paid version of LinkedIn. We have a little bit more, yeah, so there is a little bit mismatch. So yeah, I have a little bit more, like 7 more with LinkedIn Recruiter. Of course, in this case, I would not be doing anything else. I wouldn't be putting there Bucharest. I wouldn't be putting no cities. I wouldn't be putting there any other filter, not even architect. Of course, if I put here architect, of course you will like the results more, yeah, because you have just the architects now, but just 3, yeah. In this case, I would ignore anything else and I would go right one by one and opening those profiles. Like I recommend, like open it like this, like open 10 profiles like this into buffer kind of, and then I would be evaluating one by one and deciding if I want to approach or not. And I'm done with the PGA. As I said, there is also the PGA rules. Sorry, it was unintentional commercial advertisement here. PGA rules. Okay, so we can verify. Okay, there is one, but this guy also has PGA on its own. And as you can see, he's PGA Certified System Architect. So that's the certification we were talking about. Let's try to check. Of course, when you are going through these profiles, you would probably learn something more. Yeah, you would probably learn maybe some other keywords, related keywords, etc. I'm not expert in PGA, so I don't have anything like from top of my head. Anyway, PGA Certified Architect. We can, of course, we can put it into Google, for example, and we can maybe also see if, for example, there is some, here, PGA Certified Senior System Architect, PCSSA, and, but this guy, here, this guy is PGA Certified System Architect, PCSA. Yeah. So definitely we should try, for example, on its own, like totally separately. We don't need to combine it with this. We can actually exclude keywords. Yeah. So we could be actually can try like exclude this because we already go through all of those people having PGA, and we will try to verify if there are some people. None, yeah, because all of those people probably have this in the certifications anyway, so they got the PGA there anyway. So in this case, this will not help us. Actually, it can help us with some other roles. As you can see right here, we have 3 people having these certifications. Glenn, you mean I was searching, like, to be honest, if I have 2 keywords, Glenn is asking if I would have more results if I do it like that. I basically, I split it, right? I did PGA on its own and PGA rules on its own, which I think in general, of course, if there are some glitches in LinkedIn, which we know there is in this case, I think it's for me, or for anybody, I think it's better. It's better to separate it. You can avoid some of these glitches caused by a syntax, for example, that you use something more. So, like in general, it should be the same. But of course, as a sources, we should be trying. We should be observing. We should be comparing if this makes sense. If it is possible that there are only 180 people in Romania, isn't that some glitch? Shouldn't be there more? Yeah, we should be still challenging and. We should be still challenging our results and our progress. All right, Rehan, yeah, the session will be definitely available afterwards, as this is live on different platforms, and this is done automatically. All right, so this is basically it. I will not be now, of course, in this case, as you can see, not too many results. It's maybe similar like. I was sourcing people, for example, for roles like OpenVMS. Yeah, not so many people can now work with the operating system OpenVMS, usually used in the past in banking, etc. So you need to be more exhaustive. You need to be really trying to find these people. So of course, in this case, I would be going to other platforms. I would definitely try to. In this case, Google PGA, because I don't know it. For me, it's something which I don't know, and maybe there are some specific websites where there are communities with these people. There will be some website probably of the company who which owns actually PGA, who's the development company of this platform, yeah, etc., etc., etc. I will be throughout the other roles, I will be showing some of these other steps, so you can actually replicate this, but I will not be showing that with this role right now. But as you can see, just the idea, because the idea will be also in the similar fashion in the further job descriptions. A lot of things in the job description, but basically we took like 1 to maybe 3 lines from that, and we work with that, and we kind of get rid of the rest. Next one, short notice from Glenn, actually, who's commenting here in the chat as well. Glenn Gutmacher from NVIDIA, from Santa Clara, sent me actually some of his roles, as I asked him to send me something non-Java, non-Python, etc. He sent me a nice hardware role, senior ASIC verification engineer. In this case, it's maybe like a similar story like this, in a way that I have no clue. Yeah, because I was doing some embedded developers for Siemens, for example, etc. But this is still something a little bit different. So when we go through the job description, as you can see in the, I don't know if you know what ASIC is. ASIC, I didn't know before Bitcoin as well, because for example, the miners, which people use for mining Bitcoin, either use regular computer or use a specialized hardware, ASIC, for mining Bitcoin. NVIDIA, probably Glenn can actually comment on that in the comments. Is using this for, I don't know if it's for graphic cards or maybe for some AI operations, for example. So some specific operation, you create a specific circuit. Yeah, the C actually he means circuits. This is something more than with software, with electrical engineering. Anyway, when we see what's needed here, you should have, as I said, electrical engineering or computer science, computer engineering, some experience, and there are some things like objective oriented programming, so-called OOP. We will see probably that more often today, but nothing I would use in the search. What might be more interesting here is that the proficiency in verification of IP with system Verilog, that might be definitely the keyword. UVM, that might be definitely the keyword. So I would definitely start with ASIC, and maybe in this case, in combination with maybe the verification engineer. Now we are on different market. We will be on the US market. So maybe for the first, of course, I will not be trying. I could be trying like United States, but in this case, I will put there Santa Clara right away. And based on that, we will go wider, or we will keep and we will stick with that. In this case, we can, I would just put here the basic keyword, which is the ASIC. Quite a lot of results, maybe unexpected for a person who's not experienced with this technology. Over 40,000 results. Yeah. So I guess, Glenn, like, what's the problem? What's the problem there? So in this case, I can be even more brave, and I can maybe in this case try even to put here the verification engineer, yeah, which is maybe some standardized role in this hardware and electro engineering subject. I choose current for the first phase. Yeah, usually, of course, we try current as the first phase. When we have like not so many results, like for the PGA, we can extend it to past, current or past. If we have like decent, I would stick with current and then skip to past, not current, because still with past, not current, you can uncover people who are currently on the role, but they don't put it on their LinkedIn because they finished their role last month, which could be like 1 day ago. If the last day of the last month is yesterday, the people who put there, I'm finished at the end of August, if the end of August is yesterday, still those people are on the position, like realistically, they are still on the position who they stand for here, like in this case, verification engineer. So still it makes sense then go into past, not current as well. With PGA, we didn't experience that because we didn't use title at all. Yeah, we use just keywords. So that's out of question there. Now we have actually still 1,000 results. Yeah, so for Santa Clara County in this case, so some kind of like region, we have people with verification engineer plus ASIC on their profiles and then do it currently. Of course, we can exclude NVIDIA as people from NVIDIA because we can see a bunch of them here as well. I will do it like keywords like minus NVIDIA. Of course, I can do NVIDIA like this, choose NVIDIA, and then do this. Yeah, but whenever I can, and click current. Whenever I can, I try to exclude it like a keyword. Yeah, because if you are choosing these suggestions, you are only then seeing people who are actually linked to a specific company or role, also based on the suggestions. So whenever I can do this. So we actually excluded something like 100 people. All right, we will not be touching people from NVIDIA, but still 900. It's great, even if I don't know what's the benchmark for the US market there for these roles. But for example, here in the Central Eastern Europe, based on our data, we can now see that we need to approach sometimes up to 300 people to get that one hire in software engineering. Yeah? This might be a little bit different, but maybe not so on evidently competitive market in California, even with these roles. Glenn is already suggesting me using System Verilog or Verilog. Okay, so we got some other keywords right here. Definitely the System Verilog right here. So we can try to, because we can kind of afford it. Yeah, we have 900 people, so we can put here System Verilog like this. Yeah, I would put it like this. Glenn is telling me also using Verilog. He probably knows this, of course, better than me. As I said, I'm not like typically from hardware, so I would do probably something like that. And see, and still most of the people use this as well. Okay, so we can be still even more brave with using, for example, UVM, yeah, because UVM was there as well. Some advanced methodologies such as UVM. Maybe you have no clue what UVM is. Yeah, to be honest, I don't know either. Yeah, in this case. So I put it there like this, but as you can see, most of the people use it as well. Yeah, so we can start. Now it's a question, what else we would put here. Glenn is from the business, Glenn is from NVIDIA, and he would be thinking, he could be thinking like, okay, we do this is this project, people from companies of some sort. Maybe I saw some people from Apple here, there is Yamini here from Meta, yeah, from Facebook. Maybe those are not people we want, yeah, because we want these people working more on these, I don't know, like I will made it up like AI projects. Yeah, so we could be more specific, for example, in terms of companies. But definitely, this seems that it's not like definitely like scarcity of these people. Like for example, in the case of PGA. So yeah, so that would be probably it. As well, with the previous example, of course, we can go deeper with other channels, etc. But I will be showing that later on with something else. Glenn, you can let me know if you have any other specific questions to that, and of course we can discuss. As I said, most of you send me the classical software development roles. So I actually chose one right here, Python developer for SEO and SEM, which means search engine optimization, search engine management. From Kateřina, actually. Kateřina Ostrčelová from Heureka, from Prague, Czech Republic. Heureka, it's internet company, let's say. So also the similar role was sent by Ionela Serban from Tails from Romania. Salute. So this is the description of the role. As you can see, let's dive into the job description here as well. The person will be designing some tools in Python for SEO and performance marketing. Of course, SEO, SEM is really much connected with digital marketing. So the person should be working with some tools like Git. In general, Git, I will not be searching Git in it's like the XML or it's like HTML, or in this case, as we can see here, HTTP, hypertext transfer protocol. All the programmers knows what HTTP is. All the programmers knows what HTML is, and not only they know about it, but they can use it to some extent, as well as they know how to use Git, like for example GitHub or anything else. As well as API concepts, API, which is like application programming interface, like how to connect two applications. For example, now we are solving, for example, how to connect our website with a CRM. The programmers might be using some API, like I mentioned, SOAP, for example, or they can use REST API and such. But those are general things, and usually, or in general, we assume that all programmers know it. So we are not interested in this. It's Python programmer, so good knowledge of Python. It's probably what we want to use. They use also Golang. So as a secondary requirement, we will use Golang as, for example, Python. It's not actually a programming language; it's a scripting language, to be precise. But we can expect quite a lot of users. If you remember, 31,000 in Romania. So for the Romania people, of course, a lot of people in the Czech Republic, we can expect 10,000 as well. So we will probably need some secondary parameters to actually narrow it down. Database awareness, all programmers have some database awareness. In this case, experience with NoSQL, okay, that might be a little bit more specific, not just having knowledge of any database like Oracle, MySQL, MS SQL, etc., Postgres, but NoSQL, which is some different sort of database, like for example MongoDB or Redis in this case. So some examples of these NoSQL databases. Ability to work in a team, okay, learn new things, nothing special. Knowledge like the GitLab CI, the continuous integration, Docker, Kubernetes, Grafana. Usually we can, those are more specific things like Docker, Kubernetes. It's more like how to distribute the applications somewhere with the configuration, etc. But currently it's quite typical. It's already quite typical for developers that they know and they have some general knowledge, at least with, for example, Docker and Kubernetes. Nothing special, yeah. So in this case, when I open the non-paid LinkedIn, I would start usually with these roles where they are like keywords oriented. Python developer, it's really keyword oriented. Why? Because it can be also Python software engineer. It can be Python coder. It can be Python, and each country, Romania, Czech Republic, Poland, etc., English-speaking countries, of course, can have different local variations of these roles. In the Czech Republic, it can be programátor, like programmer. Another English word, programmer, Python programmer. So still the common thing there is the Python. So I would start with the Python. and any other variations of Python, which for Python, to be honest, there are maybe none. Yeah, maybe like Py, but probably not. Yeah, it's something like for the language, for example, Ruby, because usually in Ruby you don't work with the core Ruby, but with the framework Ruby on Rails, you would use this. Ruby on Rails is the abbreviation. Yeah, but with Python we will probably put there Python. Yeah, if you have any other keywords for Python, you can let me know, but I'm not sure there are any. So I would put there Python, click on people, and now I got all people having Python, which of course can be, which will be including you. So I said I will put the country, I will not put the city. So I put there Czechia, Czech Republic. And in this case, I have 24,000. So as you can see, almost similar number like in Romania. But of course, in this list, you can be in this list as well. If you have on your profile, I'm looking for Python developers, for example. But as I said, the common like denominator is the common thing is the Python there. The second word can be anything like expert, specialist, programmer, coder, developer, etc. So I would rather exclude people who are definitely not, who should not be on the list, like for example, director, yeah, like manager, etc. Maybe CEO, yeah, and maybe of course, like if I mentioned you, I would exclude you as well, yeah, recruiter, recruitment, etc. Still, with this, you can lose some people in the process, of course, because this is excluding current roles. If there is someone who is Python developer, and at the same time, the person is, for example, manager at his own company, yeah, maybe he has some like family business, something like that, you will actually exclude that person completely as well. Yeah, so this cannot distinguish between those. So it will exclude anyone having manager in their current roles. The problem is some people can have 2 or 3 or more current roles. We excluded some. Yeah. But as you can see, Python developer, Python programmator, which means programmer, Python developer, etc. So this looks pretty good. If you will find some pattern that there are, I don't know, some consultants, yeah, we can exclude more if we want. With a consultant, I would be a little bit afraid, because of course many consultants, like Java consultant, etc., are also programmers. All right, so what's next? We have 23,000, yeah, of course. So in this case, we can now skip to, in this case, I would probably skip also and use the city. In this case, it was the city of Brno. So in this case, I would use Brno metropolitan area, which is a larger area than just Brno, South Moravia. So I would use Brno. And of course, that would be a huge cut there, 5,000. Still 5,000 is a lot. I should be thinking, yeah, I need hundreds to actually to fill the role. As I said, I need 200 to 300 of these people to approach in general to actually, on average, actually be able to fill the role. So the volume is in my favor, yeah, but still 5,000, it's still quite a lot. In this case, I can actually go to some secondary keywords, probably not the HTTP GET API. That's, if you put it there and people having it there, it's saying nothing. But Golang, we have some services in Golang. It might be definitely the advantage, and it's not so common like API. Yeah, it's totally different thing. So we can we can put there Golang. Of course, now we are a little bit trusting the non-paid LinkedIn of non-paid version of LinkedIn that it's doing a good job. So definitely I would verify here, or definitely I would verify here if it makes sense. But I'm trying now use a non-paid version of LinkedIn because all of you can use it as well. But the principles of searching is totally the same. We can say it's totally the same. in the paid version. With, for example, as Glenn got his role, I think it was called senior. So of course, when we got a lot of results, like thousands, we got like 900 with this role. We can also still use the filter, for example, for years of experience. Yeah, and maybe in this case, starting with years in the current company, because this filter is nice in a way that you can expect that there is some lifespan of these people in their current roles, like or in general in the companies. So we can, for example, start and break it down, the huge number, like even like 900 or 5,000 in Python case, and we can, for example, do this and see people, not all people. Yeah, this filter also works a little bit. There are some glitches there, but we can definitely see some people having 4 to 30 years of experience on that current role. So they might be already like over the period of time where they would like to change the job, for example. So I can use these people, which I filtered, that they are at least 4 years at the role. Not only that they are senior, yeah, that would be one thing. But the second thing is that I have a better chance actually to hire these people because they already spent a decent time in that company. Yeah, so definitely this is one of the filters we would use for the scenarios where we can do it, like when we have some volume. In this case, when we put there the Golang, we got 175. So it really shrinked to a small number. And in this case, I wouldn't be putting anything else. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense to put there anything else from these actually. Yeah, so I would go one by one, and I would try my chance firstly with these people right here, because they obviously not only they work with Python, but they mention Golang, so they might have some experience there as well. When we move forward, for example, from LinkedIn somewhere else, because in this case, this would be basically it. Yeah. The second thing I might try instead of Golang is going back to Python. So Python minus the 175 people is the rest I can still work with. And of course, still it makes sense to kind of break it down, like chunk it to slice it to smaller chunks, and based on some priority. So I mentioned one priority might be the number of years at one company. Another thing might be that I can use, even if, as I said, it's quite typical. Let's say API, HTTP, it's so typical. I wouldn't use it. It doesn't make sense. Yeah, for developers. For some other roles, it might be, but for developers, not. But things like Kubernetes, you can try. And as you can see, still 300 people actually mentioned Python and Docker or Kubernetes, which we have here, or Grafana, or Grafana for that. Well, and we have 327. Yeah. So that could be another priority list, which I would take as number second, for example. Of course, it doesn't matter. It doesn't mean that other people from this list, like we can try, of course, the minus. It's sometimes quite crappy, but now it obviously works. So we have the 5,000 something minus people having Docker or Kubernetes or Grafana. We can put here the Golang as well. It's working somehow. It seems it's working. Yeah, the minus might be sometimes not working well, but like just based on the numbers I can see here, even if it's rounded, it can be like 4,731. But obviously it works. So now I solved a few hundred of people, and now I'm working with the rest, which is still quite high number. But I can like slice it like that till I go through everything if it's necessary. Maybe it will not be necessary because you will fill the role in that progress. But maybe then you will skip just also for the sake of showing that Facebook. Yeah, maybe you wouldn't be searching Facebook directly on Facebook. I actually I have created here the Facebook opener. It's actually Glenn might know it well because I think he's playing with these JavaScript things as well. It's bookmarklet, which is opening me different variations in the native search of Facebook. But the problem is with Facebook, you have a predefined roles you can put it there, like software engineer, but it's not Python software engineer. Yeah. So in this case, it's maybe better to search Facebook from Google with so-called X-ray searching. So we can do, I would do something like facebook.com. In this case, I use www. I'm not using that with mostly other searches like GitHub, but in this case, it worked better for me. And here I put, for example, I try to put there just Python, Brno. Usually the locations on Facebook are determined by cities, not by country. And I put here present just to filter out like false positive results. And I want to see mostly just people. Yeah. So for example, here, as you can see, Petr Koňárek, Jiří Chromečka, Filip Bajaník. So it seems they are really lives in Brno, software programmer with Seznam, and he got somewhere Python developer. Yeah, I didn't see it from here, but it's obviously somewhere there. Here, Python developer at Roy Hunter. I think Roy Hunter also sent me some of their roles, if I remember, but we got it here. Yeah, and for example, here as well. Not exactly sure where Python is, maybe somewhere here. Yeah, here, Python. Yes, so of course it's possible. Yeah, maybe this bias, like you cannot use like Facebook for searching for programmers and IT people. As you can see, it might be really biased. As you can see, we don't need to actually approach those people right here on the platform. But now we know that Filip Bajaník actually is, or now he's probably iOS developer. He used to be Python developer. But if you want to approach him, we can do it maybe on a different platform. There is some question on Facebook. What about searching for SEO? That was a good point. Like that was with this role for Python. Definitely a good point. Yeah, it's a Python developer for the digital marketing department, like performance marketing department. So definitely, I guess having a Python developer with some knowledge and with some awareness of SEO, SEM, definitely it might be the case. Yeah, so thank you for that. It would look something like this. So we can check SEO, SEM. Of course, even like SEO can be maybe, if you break it down, of course, it's search engine optimization, but maybe things like digital marketing, Google AdWords, etc., like Google Analytics. Yeah, these kind of related keywords might be connected with that as well. Because Python is a scripting language. People usually learn how to program with that. So people in digital marketing who skipped into programming might have some, of course, background in these things like SEO, and now they are programmers. So we can find them here as well. So we can even extend it by things like AdWords, etc. It can make total sense. Yeah. So as we can see right here. So thank you for the comment. Definitely a good one. All right, so we were on Facebook. We can skip if we want. You probably heard about GitHub. Of course, you can have on GitHub, you can have there your login, and you can actually for free, you can have an account there and you can do the searches here. So here you can search just by the keywords like, for example, Python. And if you know these search queries, you can put their location in Brno, for example. And we have 54 users. As you can see right here in the column, you can choose some other languages and scripting languages, programming and scripting languages, where I can click on Python, which means people whose primary language is Python. In this case, I would get rid of this keyword. And with this, I searched 483 people whose primary language is Python, and they are based in Brno. The problem with GitHub, or it's not a problem, it's a feature, but is that there might be a different, the location is actually a text field. Yeah. So as you can see, Brno, Czech Republic, just Brno. Yeah. Brno, CZ. Yeah. So of course, for different countries, cities, you should be trying different variations. Yeah. The local one, English one, abbreviation like London, LND, LON, for example, Tel Aviv, TLV, etc., etc. Yeah, so that's definitely the thing you should do. There is advanced search where you can actually put all of these things right there. You can also use things like, for example, Octohunt. You don't have account there, you can use Octohunt. You can put here Python, Brno, search, and you have people from GitHub. Yeah, Yuri from Red Hat, and his profile looks like this. Yeah, that's also possible. Of course, it's also possible to X-ray search it. In this case, it would look like github.com. I will put here just Python, and I will put here Brno, and I will put here, I use the contribution activity to actually have people only in the search results. So in this case, we can see some results, not so many, but this is it. Yeah, so it's also definitely possible. Of course, I just open here another presentation where you can see the possible channels where you can go. It can be dev.to. I don't know if you know dev.to. There are maybe like 1 million programmers, and also it's possible to X-ray search it. I can put here dev.to. Supportive keyword is joined on, I think. We will figure out. Python, Brno, like the location Brno. I have 14 results. Of course, just remember that in this case, it's quite straightforward because Python has basically no other variations, and Brno also, Brno is Brno in English, in Czech. Yeah, of course, I could be trying to use like Czech Republic, Czechia. If you do, for example, sourcing in Hungary, so you should probably use Hungary, Magyarország, like the local variation of Hungary, and maybe then the cities, yeah, like Budapest, for example, etc., etc. So there is definitely a sourcing work here. In this case, it might be quite straightforward, but with a different location and different programming language, it might be more searches. And in this case, I recommend, rather than use ors here, like something or with location as well, I recommend to do it like small searches like this, but do more of them. Yeah, because also Google, it's a little bit like a magic what you can put there, and sometimes you need to elaborate with that. With this, you can avoid quite a lot of mistakes and missed candidates. So dev.to, just so you can see how it looks like. Michal Shevchik, I used joined on because, as you can see, all the people, even if they didn't put anything on their profiles, there is actually joined on there. So I can use it right here, and this is the profile. Yeah. You can go to Twitter, you can go to YouTube, Quora, Reddit. Basically, almost all of these are actually searched by Google. So if you go to LinkedIn, I would cover LinkedIn. Then I would go to other social media, based, of course, priority based on what you do. It means like Facebook, it means Twitter, it means maybe sometimes even Instagram, Reddit. Then I would go to IT specific portals like Stack Overflow, CoderWall, Dev.to, GitHub, maybe Bitbucket, maybe some other Git-like servers, yeah, which I'm not sure if they are here on this list. Yeah, etc., etc. Even like finally YouTube. Yeah, but of course there should be some. It doesn't make sense to go like firstly to Dev.to, because of course we know that on LinkedIn there is the volume. All right. When you finished with these like GitHub, Stack Overflow, etc., I usually say like anywhere to the cyberspace. So of course there are a lot of profiles on the internet, and they are not placed on social media. They are not placed on GitHub, Stack Overflow. They are just there, flying there somewhere in the cyberspace. But we can define them somehow. One thing is that, for example, there can be Python developers on companies' pages. There can be Python developers like their personal pages, yeah, etc., etc. It's simply about how to use Google to search for people's profiles, but we are not interested in social media and things like GitHub. One thing can be done, for example, over image search. I can, for example, put here Python. I can put there, for example, even Brno, yeah, like the location. If I stick with the example we got there, I click on images. I click here on advanced search. I would put here type of image face. And I got some results. And as you can see, the results are the faces of people. Most of the case, you can see that it will be probably some kind of profiles. There's also LinkedIn, yeah? LinkedIn. So let's get rid of LinkedIn, minus linkedin.com, which forces us to actually do this again. So let's do this again. Type of image, face, search. Okay, yeah, and now we can go one by one, and we can check, for example, what's this, tutoring.eu or something like that. And there are actually people who teach something. So there are probably some people here. Václav is teaching people in Python. Yeah. Perfect. Yeah, we got some profile where we would normally don't go at all. Yeah, because we don't know that there is some there is some service where you can learn from other people. Yeah, we assume that they are, but we don't know exactly. Yeah. So with this, you can nicely uncover profiles from different sources. And of course, these people might not be presented on LinkedIn, GitHub, Stack Overflow, or you were not able to find them there, yeah, because they didn't use the right keywords you were using for the search. In a similar way, you can, for example, search for, if I put here Python developer, and you can be searching maybe for sites like About Us, About Me, yeah, etc. So this is usually defined by, if I click, for example, on my personal page, similar way on the company page, if I click, for example, into About, it means that in the URL there is About. It also means that in title, which is this, what you have here in the name of the tab, it's like in the language of HTML. It's already it's standardized field. Let's say there is also About. So Yeah, Monty Python, totally. So I put here Python developer, and if I want to search in URL, I put here in URL about, or about me, about us, depending like our company, and the local variations as well. You will say differently, Romania, in French, in Spanish, etc. And I would hit search, and I would go through the results. Yeah, in this case, I didn't put there the location. Yeah, so in this case, for example, there is also the about.me, where there are people's profiles. As we can see, we have Samian Pacek, Python developer at seznam.cz. Seznam, it's something like Google. It's a Czech Google, which is still keeping the dominance over Google. Actually, we are maybe only country where Google is not the primary search engine. For IT guys, yes, but for general public. Yeah, so, or for example, here we have some personal website, all the profiles, etc., etc. Yeah, so if you know how to search, if you know what are the patterns of what we are searching, so we search for the whole game we play here is that we search for profiles of people. Yeah, if we know that there are some profiles like personal profiles, profiles on company pages, etc., we can say like technically it means that in the URL there is something like /our company, / about us, or / about me, /CV, /my profile, etc. We can put it into Google and we can search through the results, and you will find profiles regardless of any social media. Yeah, so that would be the top-down, I would say top-down funnel from your database, your ATS. That's of course the first thing where you should go. LinkedIn, general social media like Facebook, Twitter, etc. Then GitHub, Stack Overflow, Dev.to, and these things up to or down to actually the rest of the cyberspace. Of course, it can be even more complicated, like when I will show you quickly. I will not be doing that. I can do that live, but of course, we have some time allocated here. But by the way, this face search is for the image search. It will automatically predefine the advanced search type of image face. But what I wanted to say is with Twitter, let me just go here. Yeah, you can use, for example, people search, or you can use follower wrong, where you can easily, as you can see, actually I got Python right here for different location. Python, I can search bios only in Budapest. On Twitter, there is the location. So in this case, I'm searching Budapest. I have those people. Yeah, but the thing is, the same thing is with people search. But the thing is that you also can sort people based on the followers. So as you can see, Justinas here this is DevOps actually. If I go back to follower Wong, so in Budapest, this guy right here is the most influential Python developer in Hungary based on the followers. Yeah. Laszlo is the number 2nd. Yeah. So how about taking these two profiles and check which people actually follow both of these guys. If there is someone who follows both of these guys, it makes this guy Python developer or aspiring Python developer as well, right? So you can do that with tweetdiff. Yeah, we were using Tweetbeaver, but actually it doesn't work anymore. But tweetdiff is actually even better. So you can put there the Twitter handles of 2 or more profiles. You can say what you want to compare, let's say followers, and you got the results, people who follow both of these profiles. These people who follow both of these profiles, they don't have to have anything Python related on their profile. So you wouldn't find them based on the keywords. Yeah, I can definitely share this. We will send it to all people actually registered here. All right, so let's move on. Of course, it's basically the same story. If you have I have other roles here: Java software engineer from Romania, Java developer from the company KMD from Warsaw, Poland, iOS developer with some JavaScript and Python experience from Martina from Business Factory in the Czech Republic, and JavaScript developer with Python actually. So both or like two scripting languages at the same time from Bucharest, Romania again. So it would be basically the same story. These roles would be more complicated than Python because Java, as well as JavaScript, as well as iOS, you need to break down and expand actually those keywords. So for example, iOS is not the name of the language you program on iPhones. Yeah, it's not called iOS. It's called Objective-C. It might be another language like Go. So you need to work with this, yeah, as well as JavaScript. JavaScript is the basic scripting language, but JavaScript can mean working with React.js, Node.js, Angular, Vue.js, many frameworks. Yeah, for example, TypeScript also. Microsoft built open source TypeScript based on JavaScript. So it's more complicated because you need to expand on those keywords. Python is simple because it's just Python. All right. By the way, there is such a talent sourcing checklist where you can actually it's like one pager which will guide you through some where you can go, like skip to LinkedIn and do title search and keyword search, industry search, etc. It will not do searches for you, but just having some basic structure behind that. Where it is more complicated when it starts with things like full stack engineer, full stack backend developer. Here we have PHP developer. Yeah, it's more complicated where we involve those frameworks. I think here some knowledge of IT terminology is already necessary. Why? Let me demonstrate. By the way, we can, with this simple picture, explain like the whole structure of this software development. Yeah, the bun of the hamburger is, for example, as you can see, JavaScript, React.js, JSON, jQuery, HTML. That's the front end side. That's what you can see. Yeah? HTML is the website. That's what you can see. Buttons, etc. For example, Bootstrap. Those are the buttons, etc. CSS. This is the style, how it looks like. So it's the front end. Underneath, there is, as we already mentioned, how to connect front end with back end. How to connect what you put into the form on the website with the place where it's sent and it's doing something there. So, for example, REST API, SOAP, in general API, WebSockets. Then there are some databases. Yeah? You need to save it somewhere, so some information. So some databases like Postgre, etc. We already mentioned that. Then you have the programming languages, yeah, which is doing something already on the back end, and it's sitting on some platform, on some operating system like Linux, Windows, Android, for example, of course, but cloud computing systems as well, like AWS, for example, or Microsoft Azure, yeah, or Google Cloud. So this is the basic terminology. So full stack means that people, you can see the first one, you should know from front end, JavaScript, TypeScript, React.js, HTML, CSS. From backend, you should know JavaScript, Node.js, Express, MongoDB, Postgres, etc., etc. And of course, some other things, as I said, all programmers usually know things like GitLab, continuous integration, Jenkins, Docker, AWS Cloud on Amazon, etc. Yeah, so the programmer needs to know everything. Then you have backend developer. He or she is doing just the backend, and on the other hand, front end. I think we have some front end here, for example, from Lasma, from Avalanche Laboratory in Riga, Latvia. So front end people, they do just the bun, just the face. Yeah. The problem is that when you don't know the terminology exactly, you will be doing mistakes in how you actually put it into, for example, LinkedIn. Yeah. When there are requirements like JavaScript, TypeScript, React.js, if you do this, if you do JavaScript, TypeScript, React.js, enter. Let me check. This was actually, we don't know because that was probably anonymous entry, so I don't know who actually sent this. But let me put there something. Let me put there some location, like for example, Paris. Yeah. The problem is that you put there these three programming languages or frameworks. In this case, you get rid of HTML, CSS. As we said, those are basics. All full stack engineers will definitely know how to handle HTML and cascade styles, which is CSS. But still, this is not totally right. We got results. We got 2,000 results. The problem is that TypeScript, as well as React.js, ultimately means that those people can do JavaScript, because React.js, you can see already the JS in the name, means JavaScript. So React.js is framework written in JavaScript. So people who can handle React.js can handle it's falling back to that they can handle JavaScript as well. So why to force them actually to use the word JavaScript? So when we get rid of JavaScript, we got 2,300 people. So we lost 300 people just because we, let's say, misinterpreted. We didn't put the exhaustive search result there. Still, we can improve on this because, for example, React.js, we could definitely put just React there. You can see React.js as well with React.js, but usually this dot is usually interpreted as space. Yeah. Anyway, so but we can rather put it there rather than not. Enter, and we have something more. Yeah, we have around 100 more. Yeah, the question if TypeScript has some other variations. Yeah, but this would be for me definitely a better search, as you can see from the results. So I don't expect any false positive results based on the fact that there would be people who actually don't know JavaScript. All right. So if you want to, for example, here we got the roles from Julia Maticic, Bucharest, Romania, JavaScript developer with Python. She could also use for the word JavaScript, not just the JavaScript, but in this case, it's a different story. When I'm looking for JavaScript people, I could use this JavaScript or TypeScript or React.js or React or React.js or any other framework in JavaScript, Angular or AngularJS or Vue.js, etc. Now I will have the problem with the number of OR operators. So of course, in this case, I would need to do a simple trick like this. Get rid of the spaces after OR and put these into parentheses. Yeah, I will not be doing that right now, but that's the thing you need to do. Otherwise, you will get like no results, which is a nonsense. Yeah, in this case, I should have quite a lot of results. Yeah, but this is how you should expand the word JavaScript to actually get all the people with the knowledge of JavaScript, because a lot of people now even imagine profiles who are, for example, front-end developer, and there is nothing else on the profile. We can kind of assume that this person can actually handle JavaScript, even without that there is not a single word with JavaScript, not a single word with any JavaScript framework, or like React, Angular, etc. Nothing else. Yeah. Still, we can assume that the person is JavaScript. By the way, JavaScript also I should put there the JS. Yeah, something like that. So this is quite extensive already, quite extensive search prompt, search query for when I would be looking for people with JavaScript in general. Yeah. So just beware of this. This is definitely not only for JavaScript. This is even for Linux, for example. I will show you right away. I can demonstrate, for example, with a PHP developer for Kateřina Berňáková from the Czech Republic. She's looking for PHP developers, and PHP also has their frameworks like Symfony or Nete, etc. Yeah. So when we break down these requirements, important thing is PHP, Symfony, optional experience, PIM core. Okay. To be honest, I don't know exactly what it is, but that's how it is. Again, CSS, JavaScript, React, it's a plus. Okay, we might be using that like a secondary parameter. API, REST, we would not be using that probably, as well as these other things right here, Azure, etc. Yeah, maybe like a third parameters. Yeah, but I don't think it will be necessary. So the same thing when I'm looking for people with Symfony, I would not be doing this. So the requirement says PHP Symfony, but if I use PHP Symfony like this, I'm losing some people. If I use PHP Symfony, I have 105, because also here is Symfony, but it's also written like Symfony. Yeah. So in this case, we might be aware of how this is actually. You can see more frequent. It's actually Symfony with F, not with PH. So we have 5,000, but when we use without a PHP, we have 5,900. Yeah. So this is a better search because all the people having Symfony in their profiles means that they do PHP. That's the fact. In this case, maybe some people might be like from some like music Symfony, but yeah, that would be the false positives. But in general, it works like that. So sometimes a more simple search, easier search is better than actually some like rather sophisticated search, yeah, which you think will work better, but as you can see, it will not. Let's move on. The similar thing would be with Angular and Go, full stack developer, React Native developer, again, Romania, mulțumesc frumos, from Diana Ionita, Bearing Point. So this is what you need to be aware. As I said, with JavaScript, I would, for example, use even like the word front end. As you can see, front end right here, where we have here, for example, front end with hyphen, front end with space, front end all together. So even like the word front end will create 3 different keywords for us. But I would use the word front end on the same level as, for example, the word JavaScript, as well on the same level React.js, etc. Because as I said, there might be people, front end developers, and they don't have anything else on their profiles. You need to assume that these people will be, for example, front end developers, which is currently kind of like the most frequent front end technology. Let's move on to some other roles, not development roles. IT, it's not just development roles. Senior application security engineer. Yeah. With these roles, as you can see, for example, right here from Asta Sarukite from it's not probably Oxylab, so I think I have it there from the last session. But definitely it should be role for Warsaw, for Berlin, for Vilnius in Lithuania. But when we look through these, through the job description, it should be some person in application security engineer background, but there are not so many keywords, like hard keywords like Python, etc., which I could stick with, other than, for example, experience with different iOS, with different OS like Linux, Android, iOS, macOS, etc. Yeah. So in general, of course, we can be looking for. I can skip, for example, into the paid version of LinkedIn in this case, and we can be looking in general for security engineer. So we can make it kind of like title-oriented role. I will get there the current ones. And of course, let's say there was Warsaw and other, I will put there Warsaw metropolitan area, and we have 343 results. Yeah. In this case, I would be playing more with the things like cybersecurity. Yeah, because for example, security, but cybersecurity, it can be one word altogether as well. So you should use that as well. So of course, we could expand that we have a security engineer or cyber security engineer, for example, like that. We have something more. As you can see, we have a few more. Yeah. So that could be like that. Of course, there are more security roles, like for example, pen tester, yeah, which means penetration tester. IT security manager, yeah, for example, from Yulia Dimchenko from Mintos from Latvia, and pen tester from Marta from DB Schenker in Poland. From my experience, these roles are easy to find with the certifications, yeah, because the IT security, sometimes it's really like, let's say, guidelines oriented, like protocol oriented, and they use these different certifications. So for example, in the case of a general cybersecurity knowledge, it's CISSP. Yeah, so let's try to put their CISSP in Warsaw, and as you can see, we have actually more results in the same location. We got 370. Now we got 569 with the CISSP certification. Yeah. As you can see, for example, here we have CISSP and we have some more. Those might be probably also cybersecurity certifications. Here, this is a nice list of cybersecurity certifications. CISSP, certification information security auditor, certified information security manager, and other, yeah, etc., etc. So here, without, for example, Security Plus, without any knowledge or without any of like Googling security certification, etc., you can actually easily get this list just based on this search. And the great thing is that when you know what CISSP is, which is already quite advanced cybersecurity certification, it ultimately saying something about background of these people. Yeah, and they would be in general probably ready for this role. In this case, penetration tester, it's more specific. That's the person which is more hands-on with different tools, like for example Nmap. So you can also try, for example, to do the search like Nmap. Let's just try it. And as you can see, 137 people use Nmap, and just based on their title, cybersecurity analyst, platform security engineer, cybersecurity analyst, threat prevention and cloud security, etc., etc. All the security people we got here, and I just use Nmap, just one simple tool which is known preferably between people in IT security. Yeah? So that's why it's important even to ask your hiring managers, like what certification these people might have, what tools these people might use, for example. As you can see in the description, there is none, but in reality, of course, there are these tools, they are there, and those hiring managers can actually answer these questions for you. When we move to things like another group, QA automation engineer, test automation developer from José Kadlec, Orange from Slovakia, or tester in general, these roles might be searched when I'm back, for example, in the non-paid version of LinkedIn. I would search them firstly probably based on title. Yeah, because tester, imagine like tester testing the software, developer is doing something and tester is testing his work. which can be like manual work, or as you can see, test automation. It can be like automated work, but not necessarily they might be some like hardcore tools behind it. Yeah, it can be on the basis that the person really clicks in the app if it works or not. Yeah, so it makes sense rather than going through over keywords, going over title. So in the title, you would need to uncover all the ways how to specify tester. So it would be probably tester, definitely not software tester. Yeah, software tester is correct, but it's not exhaustive because quite a lot of people use just tester. So I would use tester. Those people might be like verification engineer. We got with Glenn from NVIDIA, verification engineer for the ASIC, but verification engineer is used in testing of software as well. But because it can be verification engineer, verification expert, verification specialist, verification whatever, I will use just verification. Yeah, maybe validation, maybe QA, maybe quality assurance. Yeah. As you can see, I use nothing like engineer, specialist, etc., because it would be a huge search. In this, with this, I will cover all of that. If I want to exclude something like QA manager, I can do, for example, this. Yeah. And then when I have the search result, I can play with that over, of course, I need some, for example, let's put the Romania, when we got the Romania in the roles based on your input. So let me put the Romania, I got 16,000, yeah, which is quite a lot. So here I would apply some of the methodologies I already mentioned. Yeah, maybe there is some kind of preferable tool, scripting language, maybe there is something there. Yeah, but usually with the testers, there is, for example, preferable language Python, but we cannot use Python to actually locate testers, yeah, because Python is mostly used by the developers. So, but as a secondary parameter, the primary is the title, which we use right here, and as a secondary parameter, we can use it if we want testers who might have knowledge of Python. Some testers are testing web apps, some testers are testing server client applications. So all of these things can be used here, including the experience from here or some specific companies, for example. So there is always a way how to break down some huge number like 16,000 to smaller chunks, which we would start with as a primary option. Let me just put here Python. And as you can see, we got divided by 10. From 16,000, we got 1,600. Okay. Anyway, this would be probably the primary search, title search, but for testers, you can also use certifications. To be honest, I don't know from top of my head, testing certification, like ICTQ, something like that here. ICTQB, yeah, for example, it's probably the most famous certification for testers. Yeah, so definitely it would be a legit search to do this, but of course you need to get rid of this, otherwise it would be doubling the same parameter. Yeah, because ICTQB means the person is tester, so we don't have to force him to be tester by the role. So as you can see, still quite a lot of people, 8,600 people having ICTQB in Romania. Perfect list of verified testers. Another thing might be with automation developers. For the automation things, they use some kind of tools like maybe Selenium. Yeah, Selenium is one of the tools, one of the softwares which you can use for automating tests. As you can see, the first person, I put there just Selenium, nothing else. Selenium Romania. And the first person is actually software engineer, Robert Bosch, but in the past, Selenium tester, actually. Yeah, so he's skilled in testing. automation, Selenium, etc. Learning Python, Selenium, automation. Yeah, as I said, like Python is usually connected with testers because Python is usually connected with automation of the tests. So one role, tester, but 3 different searches based on title, based on certifications, based on tools, yeah, in this case. All right. I will not be, because we are running out of time, I will not be probably digging so deep into these, but Linux system administrator, thank you, Emma from Kaunas, from Lithuania, actually. Markéta Vyskočová also sent us Linux system engineer. Oana Augusta from NTT Data Romania, Linux with German language. That might be interesting. And also Oana Augusta Prikop from NTT Data Romania with system engineer. Yeah. Here again, the important thing is to know what's more important. So when we have Linux, a lot of people will use not only Linux, but they will use some specific distribution, Linux distribution. Linux is a general name. It's like when I say Windows. Do you use Windows? Yes, I use Windows. But which Windows? Windows 10 or Windows 11 or Windows 95. That's the Windows I started with back then. It's same with Linux. What Linux do you use? Yes, I use Linux. But which Linux do you use? Red Hat Enterprise Linux, or Ubuntu, or Slackware, or Debian, or many other, like hundreds of other distributions. Unix is actually not under Linux, but above Linux. Yeah, Unix, it's a family of Unix systems. Underneath you have Linux systems, and for example, Mac OS. Mac OS, if you use Mac, it's Unix-based system. So it's like it's a sibling to Linux. Yeah, Unix, Mac OS, Linux, they are siblings. So for Linux, I would use search not just Linux, but I would use Linux, Unix, sometimes just Nix, and I would use things like Red Hat Enterprise Linux, which is in abbreviation RHCE, RHCE, or Debian, or any other Linux distribution. So Linux will be actually quite a large search to cover. If I cover a system administrator, I would definitely, based on title, I would definitely use things like system administrator, system admin. Actually, I would use just admin, because if you use admin in title and keywords like Linux, it's clear that it will not be HR admin, right? It's clear already. Yeah. So you are avoiding false positives anyway by putting there, for example, Linux. So you can put there just admin, because a lot of people will be admin or administrator, not system administrator, just administrator only. Sysadmin altogether, sysadmin. People like support, first line of support, second line of support, hotline, maybe some kind of customer care. Yeah, they are sometimes people of this sort as well. All right, and with the system engineer here, it would be just nice to have, of course, you can put there some things like Nginx, and again, like Docker, Kubernetes. You can see that now the IT is really, that there are a lot of shared things, yeah, that it's not like here is a developer, and here is tester, and here is Linux administrator, and they use totally different tools, each of these groups. Now it's a little bit mixed, and it's clear with things like staff site reliability engineer, for example, and things like site reliability engineer from Raluca, from Bosch, from Riga, from Latvia. Actually, this was sent from Anthology from Brno, from Kateřina Havlová. And definitely things like DevOps. It's already in the name, development operations. It's merged, yeah, altogether, from Aurelia Bavejan, from Eneba, from Lithuania. And as you can see, based on the description, it's still the same things like AWS cloud, Terraform on AWS, CI/CD, which means continuous integration, continuous development. When we have here the description of the site reliability engineer, we have actively practicing DevOps. So DevOps, it's not in the name, but it's somewhere in the description. And again, we have CI/CD, we have Terraforms here, we have AWS here. So it's kind of people who are on the brink of software development, but on the brink of infrastructure, which means servers and other things which you need to run the application. Yeah, it's not just to do the software, but you need some kind of servers, maybe load balancers. You need to somehow distribute it. So, for example, this IACC means infrastructure as a code, actually. And again, Docker, Kubernetes. Yeah, how many times we saw Docker and Kubernetes today throughout different roles. Yeah. So these roles like DevOps will be probably for you, I would say, the most difficult, because when you see these technology we use, yeah, AWS, Docker, Kubernetes, Helm, Elasticstack, MongoDB, a lot of things, yeah, and based on the methodology I explained today, it will be more difficult for you to grasp what's more important, what's not important at all, etc. With a site reliability engineer and DevOps, also probably the first thing I would start with would be the title. Yeah, simply look for DevOps. But in the second search, because DevOps, it's still kind of, it's trendy thing, but still quite new, and a lot of people doing DevOps job might not be called DevOps. When I was doing software engineering back in 2006, 7, 9 to 10 or 11, 2011, we didn't call it DevOps back then. Yeah, we got different kind of configuration engineer. We call that, for example, configuration engineer. So I would be looking, for example, for configuration engineers as well. But definitely in the second phase, I would be looking for some of these tools mentioned here, or things like CI/CD, for example, and as you can see, again, like PHP, Golang. But PHP and Golang, we already saw for the role PHP developer with Golang as a secondary language. So we cannot use it as only this. We cannot use it as a main keyword for DevOps, yeah, because preferably you will get programmers. So definitely these are most demanding. I will probably do live IT sourcing lab, maybe just for DevOps, maybe just DevOps and site reliability engineers and roles like that, because it's complicated, more complicated that when we say Java developer. Even if, as you saw with Java developer, you can make quite a lot of mistakes as well. Bojan Markov from Kodet from Poland, I think Bojan is from Bulgaria, working in Poland, send us DevOps as well. And Adelina Munteanu, again from Romania, mulțumesc frumos, also send us DevOps engineer with experience with Azure. Of course, there are many other roles. Yeah, you send us things like SAP BI, embedded developers, some roles in telecoms, UX UI. Yeah, there definitely you can, if you are looking for UX UI, you should try things like Dribble, Behance. Yeah, something like on GitHub we go for developers. On Stack Overflow we go for any IT specific role, including DevOps. For UX UI, I would be going, for example, also to Dribble and Behance, for example. Technical writer, yeah, of course, that's the role in IT as well. Cloud data engineer, yeah, which might be kind of similar to these DevOps. I will maybe make like one family of roles like DevOps, cloud engineer, site reliability engineer, and do it doing something there on its own. All right, I think time is up. I think we are actually over. So maybe I will just say again that if you want some more content, of course, you can go to our website, recruitment.academy. You will find some other webinars there, the recordings of past webinars there, and some other things. You can check my profile. You can sign up to my newsletter if you want. I'm trying to elaborate more on some other things than just this like practical knowledge, which you see right here. it's still practical. That's my footprint, but it's maybe challenging more the status quo of talent sourcing as we know it today. So I'm now preparing some new articles with, for example, cloning of different, like literally cloning of people and cloning of voice, for example. If you want something like a Recruitment Academy certified sourcer, it's here as well. So you can sign up for the next round, up to 7 speakers there, different topics, including talent sourcing, including things which you saw right here. All right, thank you very much. I will just again quickly check the comments if there is something more. Yeah, we will be sharing the recording, or the recording will be automatic, but people who sign up, and still you can sign up on recruitment.academy if you want to make sure that you will get the recording and the presentation and these things. Angelica, I don't know if Angelica is still here. What do you do when you find a candidate on GitHub but they use only a nickname? How to find contacts of that person? Actually, there are more ways how to do that. Definitely, you can use OSINT things, like if you open, for example, osintframework.com. If you click on usernames, if you click on username search engines, there is a bunch of username services where I think my favorite is this one, instant username search. And when you put it here, yeah, you put there the nickname, it will tell you actually which services are already occupied by this nickname. And you can open them. And if you find there is GitHub as well, but that would be your guy there, because here you have the GitHub. If I click here on the GitHub, you get to my GitHub actually right here. Yeah. But we might say that maybe under Twitter, it will be me as well. And it's me. Yeah. So you can either use this, or there are some ways actually how to uncover email addresses. So you can uncover email address. There are more ways how to do that on GitHub. And from the email address, of course, oftentimes you can see name and surname. Yeah. If you are interested more in this, of course, for example, in other courses, you will find on our website, I'm actually going through that. Someone, I don't know, I cannot see the name, how to search on Stack Overflow. Actually, Stack Overflow is X-ray. You can X-ray search it in the same way as, not in the same way as GitHub, but using Google. So I can go, for example, like this. stackoverflow.com/users. Stack Overflow is actually easier because, for example, users, I will open, for example, this one. Users actually got Stack Overflow/users. So I can use /users as the base for the search. And Python Bernal, in this case, what I did before, and I got the users. So that's one of the ways how to simply search through Stack Overflow. Glenn actually got some other comments. All right. So I think that's it. Can find ITO Mohammed. I'm not actually sure what exactly you mean, but if you want, you can send me a message. Yep. Okay. Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you, Jennifer Novak. Thank you very much. As I said, if you have any other questions, comments, anything like that, skip on my LinkedIn profile. There is the QR code. You can use it as well, but you will find me easily by the name. And hopefully see you soon next time. If you have some problems with some tools and something what I mentioned here, definitely send me a message. I will actually reply to everyone. So I think from the comment section, I think that's all. And see you next time, and good luck with sourcing.